Hello everyone, coming up on this edition of Living Blind with Cory Jackson, living to be 100 and still being able to carry on a decent conversation. That is the case with my grandmother, who turned 100 years old today. Sit back, relax, and spend a little bit of time with me while we talk to Grandma. Over the years, I've always enjoyed listening to my grandmother tell stories about growing up and being in business and so forth. And I find it amazing that there's some of the stories that she tells to this day that are the same story that she used to tell when I was a child. For 100 years old, in my opinion, she's still very sharp. The only issue that she has now is she is very hard of hearing. So she has a device that she puts on so that she can hear the TV. Well, in recent months, she has started to think that when she puts on her hearing device that lets her hear the TV, that she is part of the news broadcast. So she's always ready to talk to those people. And she also thinks that they can see her through the TV. But you know what? If that's the only thing that she isn't real clear on right now at her age, I think she's doing really good. So some of us got together today and had dinner and cake with her, and we had a really good time. And during that time, I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with her and ask her a few questions to get it on video, because I know that she won't always be around with us. So this is a memory that I will be able to put away and cherish forever. So Grandma, how does it feel to be 100 today?
Oh, it feels pretty good.
Do you feel any different?
Uh-huh.
So what's the most exciting thing from throughout your life that you remember? If I ask you what something that excited you the most, what would you say?
Oh, it's all your grandchildren and children and all that. David.
How many grandchildren do you have now?
Huh?
How many grandchildren do you have?
You know, that's a good question, isn't it?
Too many to count?
But I can't tell you.
How many great-grandchildren?
I don't know. You know, I sit down sometime and I write them down and then count them, and then I know.
Uh-huh. So, what is, if you think back on your life, if you think back over 100 years, what was one of the most exciting accomplishments you ever had?
You know, I can't answer that either. I've had a lot of good times and everything, but, well, I enjoyed going to the Derby, and me and Jeff used to go over to all of the races, you know, and I always liked to do that. But a long time ago, but I had good time all the time.
So you're talking about the Kentucky Derby?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And for anybody that wants to live to be 100 like you, what kind of advice would you give them?
About what?
About living to be 100. What's the best advice you could give somebody that wants to live to be 100?
Well, I tell them it's dangerous. Don't you think so?
Well, what's so dangerous about it?
Well, you know how we're doing, how we're living, and you know, and we're enjoying it and all. But you don't never know how things could turn out, you know.
She's probably talking about the virus. Maybe.
What do you think about the coronavirus?
About what?
The coronavirus.
Oh, I think it's a terrible thing. You know, I've had flu twice in my lifetime. And then they talked me into taking, to get a shot for the flu and pneumonia. And I laid on the couch a month. David was there. I laid there a month and I was really sick. So now I'd be afraid to take it. I wouldn't advise anybody to take it. But I'll tell you one thing. For 2 months I stayed here by myself. And Carol and Patty would come in, you know, when they could. And see about me and bring food and whatever they could do, but there wasn't much you could do. It was terrible. And that lasted about 2 months.
But you got over it. Now you feel better.
Yeah.
She was bad sick for like a week. I thought she did
No,
have
I
that
didn't
virus.
get over it when they got back. When they didn't get over it then, did you? It lasted about at least 3 months and maybe more. And sometimes now I'm not over it good.
So how long did you work in the oil and gas business?
About 40 years. Now, what I did to start with, I worked in an office 6 years, and did that. And you know, I went to high school, and I didn't finish the last quarter, last quarter. So I went down and started taking a little, and there was
Probably
a
course.
school there in Glasgow, taught shorthand, bookkeeping, all that stuff. And I went down there and I'd gone to school about 6 weeks. But I was supposed to go longer than that. And but Mr. Cersei came down. He had an office and he was an accountant. And he asked her if she'd had anybody ready for, you know, said he needed somebody up there. She said, well, I don't have anybody that's been working very long, but I tell you, I got somebody can do what you need done. And he said, okay, I'll just hire 6 years. And then he got sick, and I couldn't ever leave that office. You know, they would come up there. Carol and Patty were little, and they would come up there and want me back down there to do what I need to do. And then that's when I learned how to do all the taxes and everything and run a business. And I was working, I was going to school down there, going to work, and we got in the office. Ben Jail had tried to buy a rig off everybody. We didn't have any money. But anyhow, we finally got her a little rig, and we worked with it for a little bit. And then we got in the business a little bit more. We just kept on a little bit more, you know. And then he had some he'd buy a rig with, and they'd go halvers, and when it was paid for, why, they would get their share. And I'd had to do all the taxes, and I never did get paid. He wouldn't let me get paid. And but anyhow, I told them that I wasn't getting paid, but it was okay. They said, no, it's not okay either. So we don't want you doing that work for nothing.
So you finally, they got
They
paid.
did me real well anyhow, because I worked down at Glasgow where they all lived, you know. And then we've been in business all these years.
That's good. So what was the most exciting part about being in business? What do you remember about being in business that was the most exciting time?
Paying payments, I think.
No.
It's hard.
Did anything happen
Yes.
that you remember well that was an exciting time?
Yes, I will tell you, I think you'll think it's funny. They always, end up, you know, that I'd end up needing to be the one that worried about the payments. And so anyhow, we bought a little truck, one little truck, but we had all kinds of trucks and rigs and everything. And we got that truck, and it really wasn't big enough to do what we needed to do. And and we wasn't paying the payments very good. And so I went home one day when I wasn't feeling very good. And I'd already gone to bed when he came up, and he said, honey, are you asleep? And I said, no. And he said, well, you know, they say they gonna come get that little truck tomorrow if we don't. And I said, well, I'll take care of it tomorrow. And when he was tickled, and so I went down the next day waiting for him, and they called in, and they said, Miss Coates, we're gonna have to come get that little truck. They paid over it. I said, why'd you come get that son of a bitch yesterday? You and Daddy called me today. They never did call her more about a fight. That's why you have to work.
That's how you have to do it. That's how you handle people.
Cory, it's the truth. If you're weak, then you can't do that.
And what's one of the best memories?
I thought of something else.
Okay. Okay.
I thought of something else while we was there, but see, I slipped my mind out. But it's funny, I want to.
What do you remember the most about being a kid?
Most what?
About being a kid.
About being a kid.
Yeah, when you was a kid living at home. What do you remember about that?
I like being a kid because, you know, my mother and daddy were good to me, and we didn't have money then like you do now. But anyhow, when I did want something, I would get it. I'd tell my daddy. I'd say, Daddy, come get me seated from the school. And he'd come too. And I'd take him down there and show him what all I wanted to get him. But it was hard, I know, you know, for him to do that. And Mama one day said, let me talk to these people.
So, I heard a story once. Your dad owned a bar. I heard a story once that there was some woman in there acting up, and you busted her over the head with a beer bottle when you was a teenager.
Well, I'll tell you, get this thing.
What happened?
It's turned down, Mom.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're good.
Well, we'll do smoke.
All right.